I stared at the cream-colored envelope sitting on my desk, the gold-embossed lettering catching the morning light. Annual Morrison Family Christmas Dinner, it read, followed by an address I knew all too well. 782 Oakwood Drive. The family estate where I'd spent countless holidays being reminded of my place in the hierarchy. My fingers traced the edge of the invitation. 3 years had passed since I'd attended their precious dinner. 3 years of building, planning, and waiting. Now holding this invitation felt different. This time, I wasn't the charity case cousin they'd all whispered about. I was the CEO of Walker Industries, and as of tomorrow morning, the new owner of Morrison Technologies. Though they didn't know that part yet. Ms. Walker? My assistant Sarah's voice came through the intercom. The final acquisition papers just arrived from legal. Send them in, I replied, sliding the invitation into my drawer. Sarah entered, her heels clicking against the marble floor of my penthouse office. She carried a thick folder marked confidential and wore the kind of smile that meant good news. Everything's in order, she said, placing the folder on my desk. The board approved the buyout unanimously. They never realized Walker Industries was behind the holding company. I opened the folder, scanning the documents that would transfer ownership of my uncle's company to me. Uncle James, who'd laughed when I asked for a job after college. We need serious people here, Emma, he'd said. Not dreamers living off family handouts. The memory still stung, but now it fueled me. Sarah, I said, signing the final page. Clear my schedule for Christmas Day. I'll be attending a family dinner. She raised an eyebrow. The Morrisons? Are you sure? I smiled, remembering my cousin Blake's words from the last dinner I attended. When are you going to stop embarrassing the family and do something with your life? Oh yes, I replied. It's time they learned what I've done with my life. The week before Christmas passed in a blur of meetings and preparations. The acquisition was set to complete at exactly 2 p.m. on Christmas Day. Right around the time my family would be serving turkey and judgment in equal portions. I chose my outfit carefully that morning. A simple black dress that probably cost more than my cousin Blake's monthly salary, though you'd never guess by looking at it. No flashy labels. No obvious signs of wealth. Let them think I was still struggling. The reveal would be sweeter that way. As I pulled up to the mansion in my modest car, not the Bentley I usually drove, memories flooded back. Every Christmas dinner, every snide comment, every time they'd made me feel small. Emma, my Aunt Patricia's voice carried across the driveway, sticky sweet with fake concern. We weren't sure you'd come. Times must be difficult. I smiled, clutching my simple handbag that held nothing but my phone and the acquisition papers. Thank you for inviting me, Aunt Patricia. Inside, the house smelled of pine and pretension. Crystal glasses clinked as relatives milled about, their designer clothes and jewelry competing for attention. My cousin Blake stood by the fireplace, holding court with his usual admirers. Well, look who it is, he called out, loud enough for everyone to hear. The prodigal cousin returns. Still working at that startup, Emma? Or have you finally found a real job? I kept my face neutral. If he only knew that his real job at Morrison Technologies would belong to me in less than 2 hours. I'm managing, I said quietly, playing my part. Uncle James appeared, drink in hand. Emma, surprised to see you here. Though I suppose free dinner is hard to pass up these days. The room tittered with polite laughter. I took a seat at the massive dining table, carefully arranged with the best china and crystal. As always, they'd placed me near the kitchen door, the subtle positioning of the family disappointment. Aunt Patricia began serving turkey, making sure everyone knew she'd had it specially prepared by a chef who trained in Paris. The conversation flowed around me, mostly about business deals and vacation homes. Speaking of business, Blake announced, "We just closed a major acquisition at Morrison. Dad's company is about to double in size." I bit back a smile. The acquisition he was talking about was a smokescreen, a small deal we'd let them think they were winning while we quietly bought up their shares through various shell companies. "Still living off handouts?" my cousin Jessica asked, not even trying to hide her smirk as she passed the cranberry sauce. "I heard you were seen looking at apartments in the East Side. Bit above your means, isn't it?" I checked my watch. 1:58 p.m. Almost time. "You know," Blake continued, swirling his wine, "if you need help finding something more suitable to your situation, I know some affordable neighborhoods." 2:00 p.m. Right on schedule, the doorbell rang. The room fell quiet. No one was expected at this hour. "I'll get it," Aunt Patricia said, but I stood up. "No, please. Allow me." I walked to the door, feeling their eyes on my back. Opening it, I found Sarah standing there in her impeccable suit, tablet in hand. "Ms. Walker," she said crisply, loud enough for everyone to hear, "your acquisition of Morrison Technologies is complete. The board has been notified, and the press release goes out in 5 minutes." The silence behind me was deafening. I turned to face my family, finally allowing myself to smile. "Thank you, Sarah. Please let the board know I'll be making some changes, starting with the leadership." Uncle James's glass slipped from his hand, shattering on the hardwood floor. Blake's face had gone completely white. What is she talking about?" Aunt Patricia whispered. I pulled out my phone, showing them the press release that was about to go live. "Walker Industries acquires Morrison Technologies in surprise takeover." "Walker Industries," Blake stammered. "But that's my company," I finished for him. "The one I built while you were all too busy mocking me to notice. Now, shall we discuss those affordable neighborhoods you mentioned? Because I believe you'll all be looking for new jobs soon." The turkey was getting cold, but suddenly, no one was interested in eating. And this was just the beginning. The room froze. Silverware clattered against china as hands went limp with shock. Uncle James stumbled to his feet, his face turning an alarming shade of red. "This is impossible," he sputtered. "Walker Industries is a multi-billion-dollar company. They've been buying up tech firms across the country. You couldn't possibly." I pulled out the acquisition papers from my handbag, laying them carefully between the turkey and cranberry sauce. "Would you like to see the documentation, Uncle James? Or perhaps you prefer to check your email? The board should have notified you by now." As if on cue, phones started buzzing around the table. The press release had gone live. Blake lunged for his phone, fingers trembling as he pulled up the announcement. "Emma Walker, CEO of Walker Industries, announces complete acquisition of Morrison Technologies." He read aloud, voice cracking. "This is some kind of joke. Like when you told the board I wasn't qualified for an entry-level position." I asked, maintaining eye contact. "No, cousin. This isn't a joke. This is business." Aunt Patricia gripped the back of her chair, knuckles white. But you were struggling. Living in that tiny apartment, driving that old car." I smiled, remembering all the times they'd commented on my modest lifestyle. "That apartment? It's one of 50 properties I own in the city. The car? A choice, not a necessity. You see, while you were all busy flaunting your wealth, I was building mine." Sarah stepped forward, tablet still in hand. "Ms. Walker, the transition team is ready. Would you like me to begin implementing the leadership changes now?" Uncle James slammed his hand on the table. "Now wait just a minute. You can't just walk in here and... I can. I cut him off calmly. And I will. But first, let me share a story. Since we're having such a lovely family dinner. I took my seat again, smoothing my dress. The power shift in the room was palpable. Every eye was fixed on me, including those of relatives who'd barely acknowledged my existence for years. 6 years ago, I came to you with a business proposal. I began, looking directly at Uncle James. A digital payment processing system that could revolutionize how small businesses handle transactions. You laughed me out of your office, said I was playing entrepreneur. Remember? He swallowed hard, but said nothing. So I took my proposal elsewhere. Built it myself. That system now handles over $50 billion in annual transactions. But that was just the beginning. I paused, taking a sip of water. While you were all busy mocking my startup, I was acquiring companies across 3 continents, always through holding companies, always quietly. Morrison Technologies was just the latest piece of the puzzle. Why? Blake's voice was barely a whisper. Why not tell us? I turned to him, remembering every snide comment, every deliberate exclusion. Because you needed to learn something. All of you did. Success isn't about showing off. It's about substance. Something this family seems to have forgotten. Sarah cleared her throat softly. The press is requesting comments, Ms. Walker, and the board members are asking about tomorrow's transition meeting. Tell them I'll issue a statement after dinner, I replied. Family comes first, after all. Isn't that right, Aunt Patricia? My aunt, who'd always insisted on family loyalty while treating me like an outsider, could only stare at her plate. Now, I continued, let's discuss the changes coming to Morrison Technologies. First, the leadership team will be restructured. Blake, your position as Vice President of Sales is being eliminated. Uncle James, you'll be stepping down as CEO, effective immediately. You can't do this. Uncle James found his voice again. The board has already approved everything. I finished for him. They were quite impressed with Walker Industries' track record. Unlike Morrison's recent performance, Jessica, who'd made the comment about handouts earlier, pushed her chair back. This is ridiculous. I'm calling our lawyers. Feel free, I smiled. They've already reviewed and approved the acquisition. But while you're at it, you might want to call a recruiter too. Your position is also being eliminated. The room erupted in chaos. Voices raised in protest, threats of lawsuits, pleas for reconsideration. I let it wash over me, remembering all the times I'd sat quietly while they belittled my dreams. Sarah stepped closer. Should I have security on standby? That won't be necessary, I replied, loud enough for everyone to hear. My family may have forgotten their manners, but I'm sure they can handle this professionally, can't you? The silence that followed was deafening. Now, I stood, straightening my simple black dress. I believe there's dessert. Aunt Patricia always serves her famous apple pie at Christmas. Though I suspect it's not actually homemade, is it? The bakery on 5th Street does excellent work. Aunt Patricia's face flushed. Another carefully maintained illusion shattered. Before we continue, I pulled out a stack of envelopes from my bag. I have some documents for each of you. Severance packages, non-disclosure agreements, and terms for your departures. I'm being quite generous, more generous than you've ever been to me. You have until the end of dinner to decide. I began passing out the envelopes, watching as trembling hands opened them. The amounts inside were substantial. I wasn't interested in revenge, just reorganization. One more thing, I added, returning to my seat. Those non-disclosure agreements, they include social media. So all those nasty posts about my failed career might want to disappear before midnight. Blake looked up from his envelope, his face ashen. You knew about those? I know everything, I replied simply. I had to learn to pay attention to details when no one was paying attention to me. The rest of dinner passed in stunned silence, broken only by the occasional quiet sob or whispered consultation between family members. The turkey grew cold, the expensive wine untouched. As Sarah had predicted, it was quite an interesting Christmas dinner indeed. The grandfather clock in the hallway struck 4, its deep chimes echoing through the tension-filled dining room. I watched as my family members shuffled through their severance papers, their faces cycling through shock, anger, and finally, the sweetest part, fear. You have until New Year's Day to clear out your offices, I said, standing up. Generous, considering how quickly you showed me the door 6 years ago. Uncle James, who hadn't touched his food since the revelation, finally spoke. His voice had lost its usual pompous tone. Emma, surely we can discuss this. We're family. I turned to him slowly, letting his words hang in the air. Family? Let's talk about family, Uncle James. When Aunt Marie died, and I needed help with Mom's medical bills, where was family then? When I slept in my car for 3 months while building my company, did family notice? You slept in your car? Aunt Patricia interrupted, her perfectly made-up face crumpling. But why didn't you say something? Would you have listened? I asked quietly. Or would you have used it as another reason to mock me at Sunday brunch? The silence that followed was answer enough. Sarah stepped forward again. Ms. Walker, the board is requesting an immediate video conference, and Mr. Sterling from the Times is asking for an exclusive. I nodded, then turned back to my family. You'll find complete instructions in your packets. The transition team will assist you with the handover. Please don't make this more difficult than it needs to be. Blake, who had been uncharacteristically quiet, suddenly stood up. Wait. Just wait. He pulled out his phone, fingers trembling as he pulled up something. Is this why you were at the Thompson merger last month? In the background of this photo. That's you, isn't it? I glanced at the society page photo he'd found. Indeed, I was visible in the background, speaking with the CEO of one of the largest tech companies in the country. Yes, unlike some people, I prefer to do my work quietly. But you were wearing, he trailed off, staring at my simple black dress. A Channel couture gown worth more than your annual salary. I finished for him. Yes, I just choose not to flaunt it at family dinners. Jessica, who had been frantically texting under the table, looked up with wide eyes. I just checked Forbes. Walker Industries. You're worth more than this entire family combined, I confirmed. Though that's not the point. The point is what you do with power, once you have it. I picked up my handbag, a handmade piece that cost more than their monthly mortgages, and prepared to leave. But first, I had one more thing to say. You know what the real irony is? I looked around the table, meeting each pair of eyes. If any of you had bothered to really see me, to listen when I came to you with ideas, you could have been part of this. Instead, you chose to judge, to mock, to exclude. That was your choice. Now I'm making mine. Aunt Patricia burst into tears. But what will people say? The scandal. People already know, I replied. They've known for years. I'm quite well known in business circles. You just never bothered to look beyond your own small world to notice. I turned to Sarah. Please ensure everyone signs their NDAs before leaving. And have security start changing the access codes tomorrow morning. Yes, Ms. Walker. And your dinner appointment? Keep it. I think I've lost my appetite here. As I walked toward the door, Uncle James called out one last time. Emma, please. Give me a chance to make this right. I paused, hand on the doorknob. You had 15 years of chances, Uncle James. Now it's my turn to run things. The drive home was quiet. Sarah sat in the passenger seat of my modest car, efficiently working through emails on her tablet. The press release has gone viral, she reported. Your family's social media accounts have all gone private in the last hour. I smiled slightly. Have there been any calls from them yet? 17. Mostly from Blake and your uncle. Should I continue blocking them? Yes, they can go through proper channels now, just like they always made me do. We pulled up to my real home, not the small apartment they knew about, but my actual residence, a penthouse overlooking the city. As the private elevator climbed to the top floor, Sarah cleared her throat. Miss Walker? Was it worth the wait? Planning all this for so long. I thought about the years of careful preparation, of building my empire in silence, of watching and waiting for the perfect moment. You know what my grandmother used to say before she died, I replied, stepping into my expansive living room. Success is the best revenge, but timing is everything. I walked to the floor-to-ceiling windows, looking out over the city I now partially owned. Somewhere down there, my family was realizing that the person they dismissed for so long had become the one person they couldn't afford to ignore. Sarah, send flowers to the family tomorrow. White lilies, Aunt Patricia's favorite. Include a card. What should it say? I smiled, remembering all the Christmas cards they'd sent over the years, always signed with false warmth and hidden barbs. Keep it simple. Just write, Merry Christmas. Looking forward to a productive new year. Best regards, your new CEO. Tomorrow, the real work would begin. The restructuring, the meetings, the press conferences. But tonight, I had given myself the one gift my family had never managed to give me. Respect. And that was worth more than all the Christmas dinners in the world.